A quick heads up, this video is not actually about a game. It's a little nostalgia trip through some tutorial software included with the Apple IIe computer back in the day. If that idea doesn't grab you, you might want to skip this one. It's cool. Alright now, for the rest of you, one of the most key elements in my development as a gamer was the Apple IIe my father brought home in what I believe was 1984. Though I'd logged plenty of time on various arcade games and friends' Atari 2600s, the only game-capable machine we had at the house was a Radio Shack electronic TV scoreboard, one of those dedicated Pong units. That all changed with the arrival of the IIe. I was instantly captivated. Dad would supply me with a steady drip of new software, which I now realize was stuff pirated by a friend of his, and I played everything I could get my hands on. A few favorites were Below the Root, Alice in Wonderland, and Dragon World, which you might recognize from this very channel. However, one of my strongest memories of the IIe is the tutorial software that came with the computer, titled Apple Presents Apple. It very ably introduced us to some of the things the computer could do in a friendly and entertaining way. So friendly and entertaining, in fact, that I walked through it over and over again, despite having pretty much memorized its lessons and it not being, a game. We've made many trips around the sun since then, and I haven't fired up Apple Presents Apple in decades. Lately, I've had the itch to take a little stroll through its lessons, see how it holds up, and just let the memories wash over me. Well, I figure if I'm gonna do that, I might as well invite you folks along. So, for those of you who might find this little nugget of history interesting, let us turn back the clock to the days when a 1 MHz CPU and 64K RAM were all you needed, and let our shiny new Apple IIe introduce itself. Alright, here we have our lovely virtual Apple IIe. And over here in our lovely virtual 5 1/4 inch disk drive, we have Apple Presents Apple. So let's fire her on up. Boop! Ah, I miss the old rainbow apple. I suppose the single-color plasticky one is more fashionable for our time, but still, it was so festive. No, 1982. So by the time I got my IIe, this software had already been in use for 2 years. Well, little had changed in that time. The Apple IIe computer, designed to make your working time more productive, your learning more exciting, and your leisure time more entertaining. In the next few minutes, we'll show you a little of what this computer can do, but we'll need your help pressing some keys. You're out there, and we're locked up in here. Isn't that cute? This is a very friendly program, generally speaking. It's quite easy, really. Just get comfortable while we move this keyboard up to the top of the screen and ask you to find the first key. You got it, Apple Presents Apple. I am on board. This is a picture of the Apple keyboard. Please find the key marked with the bent arrow at the right side of your keyboard and press it now. You can use the key marked Escape if you have used this program before. So Escape would let us jump ahead, I think, to the main menu, but for now it wants us to press Return. Now the interesting thing here for me is that the Return key, which is kind of the backwards upside-down L shape, my IIe did not have a return key that looked like that. It was the standard oblong one, such as you often see in keyboards of today. But fortunately, even at about 6 years old, I was able to make the leap. And I've taken a little too long, so Apple Presents Apple is making damn sure I know which key to press. Alright. Good! You found the return key fast. Let's do it again. When you finish reading this, please press the return key to continue. Great! Now you know that you press the return key whenever you are finished reading something. Since bendy arrow is rather difficult to pronounce, we call the bendy arrow key the return key. You've got the idea. In general, remember this rule. When in doubt, press return. This lets the apple know you're ready to proceed. Well, for purposes of Apple Presents Apple, that's true. I don't know if you'd generally want to say when in doubt do that, because in other software that could have undesirable consequences. Another thing I find interesting here is that it calls the computer the Apple. Not the Apple computer, not the Apple IIe, it just calls it the Apple. Makes it almost sound like a genericized trademark, a la styrofoam. Take another look at the keyboard. It looks like a typewriter keyboard with some extra keys, but it's much more versatile and easy to use. I don't know about easy to use. I mean, with a manual typewriter, you just bang out your words. But it is, in fact, much more versatile. And once again, I've taken too long, and it's flashing the return key at me. I'll move on when I'm good and ready. When the Apple wants you to type something, it will display a blinking square called the cursor, where you will begin typing. Here is a cursor. Use the Apple keyboard to answer yes to the question below. No help from the audience, please. Am I using an Apple computer now? Technically, I'm not. I'm in an emulator, so no. Oh, I'm pressing N and it's just redirecting me to the Y key. Alright. Y, E, S. And it lights up the keys, just in case you're having any difficulty finding them. Very, very friendly piece of software, this. So you see, you type answers just as you would on a typewriter, and you press the return key to tell the Apple, I'm done typing my response. It's your turn now. This stuff may seem really, really elementary to especially the younger people in the audience, but in 1982, home computers were still pretty rare, and a lot of people were getting onto them for the first time. So a very granular and hand-holdy approach like this was entirely appropriate. One of the first things you'll notice when typing on the Apple keyboard is that you can make the keys automatically repeat if you leave your finger on the key. Press return to give it a try. Go ahead and press a key with a letter on it. Practice repeating the letter by holding down the key. Okay, I think I'll type the name of an indie darling adventure platformer from a while back. Wow, that's pretty sensitive. I only held it down for like a second, and it did that many V's. Whether you're typing one letter at a time or repeating letters, your fingers can sometimes slip. This leads to the question, what if you make a mistake? Don't panic. If you make a typing error, you can use these keys, called left arrow and right arrow, to correct typing errors. The left arrow key backs the cursor up. The right arrow key moves the cursor forward. What computer are you using now? A top-of-the-line Apple. This example will let you correct the answer above to read Apple. Start by pressing the left arrow key. Hold your horses, I'm going to try something else. Okay, I typed another key and it does not respond at all. Good, now press left arrow again. Once more to get to where the error is. Now press P to correct the error. Well, that looks a little messy because it's a capital P. With computers of the age, it was pretty commonplace for all caps to be the default. So they haven't started to teach us about the shift key and lowercase letters yet, but we'll get there. Anyway, we're not done yet. Use the right arrow key to move forward towards the end of the answer. Press the right arrow key to move beyond the last letter of the answer. You're done, so press return. Don't mind if I do. Where is Westminster Abbey? Try correcting the answer above to read London instead of Lonson. That's a shame. I hear Lonson's lovely this time of year. Look at me go. You got it on the first try. Hooray for me. As we mentioned before, a computer is more versatile than a typewriter. For example, a computer can ask you, what's your first name? Let's see. And the magic asterisk changes us to be case appropriate. Is my correct first name? Cass. Okay, you're no fun anymore. Sometimes a program lets you choose what you want to do, just as a restaurant lets you choose your meal. Press return to see today's menu. Hey, I've got a diner. See, we've got calamari, we've got souvlaki, we've got quiche un, which is my specialty. But today's special is bubble and squeak, which I'm not entirely sure what it is. Some kind of English thing, I think? Anyway. How about a 12? There's got to be a secret menu. Ah, darn it. Well, the escargot and the chicken fried steak is not fresh today. The bubble and squeak is the special. Once again, I don't know what that actually is, so I think I can go for a good tempura donburi. An excellent selection. Japanese cuisine is so tasty. Please press return when you finish eating. Done. This entire program is also listed on a menu, which we will show you next. This main menu has an arrow, which will always point to the topic we recommend you do next. You may select that topic or strike out on your own. Oh, let's not get too crazy here. Neat little character animation there with the slashes, the dashes, and the pipe. So, it does in fact mark on the menu with asterisks the lessons we've already taken, and the flashing arrow is the logical one to take next. Now, if you look between 12 and 14, there's a couple of question marks there and the message, watch this space. What happens if I try to go there? Sorry, but you can't see that until you've finished everything else. Okay, can't have our pudding until we eat our meat, fair enough. I bet you there's a hidden menu here. Please type a number from 1 to 14. How boring. Okay, we'll do the early returns are out. As you recall, you use the left arrow key to back up to where a mistake is. After you correct the error, you use the right arrow key to move forward to the end of the answer. But what would happen if you pressed return before you moved beyond the end of the answer? Cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria? Press return to see an example of what an early return does to you. What it does to me? That sounds ominous. Who or what is La Gioconda? Gioconda? I'm not actually sure of the pronunciation there. In any case, it is not the Mona Lisa. Elcusa is a neat word, but let's try Lisa. Okay. At least it appreciates my creativity. What happens if we press return right now? I'm on the edge of my seat here. What's this? The sa disappears. The cursor marks the end of your answer, underlined for emphasis. When you press return, the cursor and everything to its right vanish. To avoid this problem, use the right arrow key to move the cursor beyond the end of your answer before you press return. Please do that now. Can do. Press the right arrow key to move beyond the last letter of the answer. Still on board with you. The moral of the story is, if the cursor looks like this, blinky checkerboard, be sure to use the right arrow key to move beyond the end of your answer before you press return. Alright, looks like our next lesson is a shift of character. See the long bar at the bottom of your keyboard? It's called the space bar, and you use it to put spaces between words. Please press the space bar now. Okay, it's rather large and easy to find on the keyboard. You can use the space bar when you type your last name below. You have the idea, Un. Oh, it's given me personalized responses now. The Apple keyboard has a Shift key, marked by an up arrow, on either side near the bottom row of your keys. The Shift key lets you type the symbol that appears on the top half of a key. To type a question mark, you hold down either Shift key with one finger, press the question mark key, then release it. Finally, you let up the Shift key. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to press slash. You did press the question mark key, but you didn't hold the shift key at the same time. Keep holding down the shift key while you press the question mark key. What if I press J? Nope. It's doing its stern blinking at me again. There we go. Well done. Now you know how to type the symbol that appears on the top half of a key. There are two ways to make capital letters. One way is to hold down the shift key, just as you did for punctuation. The other way to make capital letters involves a key called caps lock, marked with a down arrow at the lower left of your keyboard. First, press the key with the letter H on it, and please don't touch the shift key. Notice that you've typed a capital H. When the caps lock key is locked down, all your letters come out capitalized. Many programs will only understand capital letters. This is very true. All caps was kind of the default for a lot of computers of the day, and a lot of software, and I think even the Apple Basic command line, they didn't understand lowercase letters at all. They would just throw an error if you tried to use them. Press the caps lock key a few times. You'll notice that it clicks into two positions. Caps lock is on when it's locked into the lower position. Try typing keys with caps lock in each position. Okay, let's see how gracefully the emulator handles this. There we go. Not bad. Important. If you type a command to the computer in lowercase and it responds with a message such as syntax error, lock the caps lock key down and try again. Again, the computer generally expected all caps, and yeah, if you put in something at the command line in mixed case, it would just throw a syntax error at you. Caps lock makes capital letters only. You see what we did there? If you want the punctuation symbols on the top half of a key, you must use the shift key. Now that you've learned all there is to know about the shift and caps lock keys, press return and we'll set you a little test. Oh, the pressure's on now. Use the shift and caps lock keys to answer A-OK to the question below. What do astronauts say? I'm dying. The correct answer is A-OK. Please back up and try again. You know, Apple, you're rather set in your ways. Dash. Okay. There we go. Oop. That wasn't actually me trying to do the wrong thing on purpose that time. Wasn't thinking straight, type a question mark. The astronauts are not very sure about their A-OK. That's it, hon. You've passed the only test, a tough one, with flying colors. Good for me. But now we've got arrows, rabbits, and gnomes, which was not nearly as successful as Dungeons & Dragons at the time, but it had some sterling qualities. You already know about two of the keys with arrows on them, the left and right arrow keys, which you use when correcting errors. Next to them are the down arrow key and the up arrow key. Some programs let you use these keys to move about or correct errors anywhere on a screen. The next part of this program will let you have some fun experimenting with all four arrow keys. Would you rather come to the aid of a rabbit or a major financial institution? Even at the tender age of 6, I thought this contrast was kind of funny. I want to do Q. Please use digits. All right. 9. 9 is too large. Please try again. 0 is too small. Please try again. So they did account for all kinds of things you could do incorrectly here, which is pretty nice design. Let's help a rabbit. It is dark and cold, and Alex is a very hungry rabbit. His giant carrot is hidden here somewhere. Press left, right, down, and up to help Alex find his carrot. This is a fun little place to experiment. When I went through Apple Presents Apple over and over in my youth, this was kind of a highlight of it for me. Also, there is gravity here, so Alex is just propping himself up there with his legs when there's no ground beneath him. Kinda cute. Let's try typing something that isn't an arrow. Alex doesn't understand you. Alright, arrow keys it is. What if we were to smash our pelvis into the floor? Oof. And Alex is not pleased. Okay, how about doing a header? Bonk. Oof. Sorry, Alex. Sorry, Alex. Something that really interested me about this, back in the day, was that it would buffer your keystrokes, so if you press several arrows in a row, then as soon as the animation caught up, it would go ahead and move on to the next arrow you pressed. And there's Alex's happy dance. But I think we really should help out the major financial institution. They are too big to fail. Sources predict a fast drop in gold prices. The bank must convert its bullion to stable euro dollars now! Press left, right, down, and up to help the gnome find the gold. And I was completely unaware of this when I was a wee sprout, but there's a little joke here. You'll notice at the top it says Bank Suisse, and we are a gnome. That is a reference to Gnomes of Zurich, which is a slang term for Swiss bankers. I'm going to press something that is not an arrow. M. Gnome de Plume is most confused. If I'm not propping myself up, I think we get a little animation for that. There we go. Ugh. Point. Blat. Pff. I gotta say, it feels a little better perhaps to be helping a rabbit, but I think M. Gnome de Plume here gets the better sound effects. Point. Blat. I'll never get tired of that. Ugh. Blat. And time for the gnomish happy dance. Hooray! Color or B&W? Do the words above appear in several different colors? Maybe. Oh, only lets me put in May. And it doesn't accept it. Fair enough. First time I went through this, I actually misinterpreted it. I thought it was asking if the various words were the names of colors, and so I said yes. Great! Since you have a color television or monitor attached to the Apple, you can enjoy its color capabilities. You may have already noticed that the letters on the screen have colored fringes. These fringes are produced by the Apple when it mixes text and graphics. This is a fringe benefit that you can't get rid of. Yep, whenever you had an Apple program mixing graphical and text stuff on the same page, or on the same screen, I should say, then you get this weird green and red kind of shading to the outside of the letters. Just a limitation of the hardware, I suppose. You may want to adjust these colors so that you strike a pleasing balance of rich colors and least amount of color fringes on the letters. Let's go back to that. As I mentioned, when I was a kid, I misinterpreted this and said yes, but I didn't actually have a color monitor at the time. I had a monochrome green screen. We did eventually get a color monitor, and I was very happy when we did. So we'll be period accurate here and say no. You probably don't have a color television or monitor then. If you know where the controls are, you may wish to adjust the color and brightness of this text and the picture to please you. Oh, it was polite enough not to try and upsell us a color monitor. Probably any software like this today would tell you where you can purchase one of our fine color displays. Why 10 isn't a 10? Sometimes a computer can be fussier than a typewriter. For example, on a typewriter, the letter O looks just like the number 0. A typewriter's lowercase l looks just like the number 1. However, computers usually treat letters and numbers quite differently. Keeping this in mind, answer the question below. What is 5 plus 5? But that didn't let me put in the T. We're looking for the number 10. Please use left arrow to back up and try again. So it's polite about me being a dumbass. Now let's try doing exactly what it told us not to do. Lowercase l, capital O. The numbers are in the top row. Please use left arrow to back up and try again. It's so patient. Good, we have the idea. Next up we have apples, apples everywhere, which was another highlight if I recall correctly. I enjoyed this one. There are some keys that don't do anything when you press them by themselves. Instead, they are used to make other keys work differently. As you have learned, the Shift key is one of these special keys. The key marked Control is one of these special keys. It does nothing when you press it all by itself, but when you use Control with another key, the combination will do something different. Hold down the Control key with one finger and press the G key with another finger. What if I just press G without Control? Don't worry, everybody does this the first time. They let go of the Control key before they press the G. Please try again and hold down the Control key while pressing the G key. This really is a very polite piece of software, and they accounted for most of the things you could do wrong, like specific errors that you make do give you specific messages like this, which is pretty good design, I would have to say. It gives you a beep. If you would like to hear the beep again, go ahead and hold Control and press G as much as you like, or until it disturbs the neighbors. Boop, boop, boop. Okay, I've had my fun. So, you can use the Control and G keys together to sound a bell. That was a standard Apple key combination. Didn't work in all software, of course, but I think from the command line you could do it, and in a lot of other similar situations. The Control key, also called Control, is used with other keys to control the way a program works, hence the name. There are two other keys that are sometimes used to control the way a program works, the Open Apple and Solid Apple keys. The Open Apple and Solid Apple keys are special. They can be used either with other keys, as Control is, or by themselves. In the following exercise, you will use these keys to sort 10 apples into their proper bins. Yep, instead of Alt keys, the old Apple II series had the Open Apple and Solid Apple keys, which were generally not equivalent. They distinguished between each other more than modern computers will, in most cases, with the left Alt or right Alt. Press the Open Apple as soon as you see an Open Apple on the conveyor. Press Solid Apple as soon as you see a Solid Apple on the container. Or conveyor, rather. I think I can do this. Bloop. Bloop. When I was little, I used to like to challenge myself by pressing the right key at the very last second so the apple dropped straight down, like that. Oh! I missed that one. Yeah, if you're even a bit late, the apple will pop right off the end of the conveyor there. The Help key. Many programs give you information or help when you press Open Apple ? Hold down the Open Apple key and press the question key to see how you did sorting apples. You sorted 9 apples correctly. An excellent job, hon. Why, thank you. I want to see what it does if you get them all right. I'll stop playing timing games with myself. A perfect job. And what if I'm completely inept? Oh dear, I'm not looking forward to this evaluation. You can select this topic again for more practice. Once again, Apple Presents Apple is very polite. It doesn't call me like a complete screw-up or anything. It just says, maybe you need to practice a little more. That's very kind of it. Now for number 9, making your escape and reset. Let me out! Sometimes you will find you have painted yourself into a corner and would like to tell the program to get you out of there. Press return to see the most common ways to do this. The most common way to stop a runaway program is to press the key marked ESC, which stands for escape. Use the escape key to stop the runaway odometer below. Oh god. So you see, ESC is one common escape hatch on the Apple. Press return to see yet another let me out method. Another common method of stopping a program is to hold down the key marked Control and press the C key. I'm just going to press C without Control. Remember, you must hold down the key marked Control when you press C. Oh, you're right. Okay. Good. This combination of keys is called Control-C or Control-C in most manuals. Press Control-C to stop the runaway yo-yo at the right, before it kills again. I stopped the yo-yo. If Escape and Control-C don't work, there is a last resort which can cause a program to start all over again, just as if you would turn the machine off, then on again. Read this, but don't try it now! If you hold down Control and press Reset, some programs will start over again. Use this only in an emergency or if nothing else has worked. Not now! Yep, if we did that, it would drop us out of Apple Presents Apple, and that's not what we want. There are other more dramatic ways to use the reset key. See your owner's manual for details. As a last resort, of course, you can always turn the computer off. Don't do that now! But press return to go back to the menu. I should note that Control Open Apple Reset is a soft reboot globally, no matter where you are, what software you're in, command line. Control Open Apple Reset was always your hard, guaranteed reboot. But let's see a little friendly advice. Ooh, animations. As you can see, using a computer isn't so difficult after all. Press return to find out why some programs are especially easy to use. A program that gives clear instructions and responds reasonably if you make a typing error is called friendly. Such programs are easy to use. Press return to see a friendly question. Try making mistakes on purpose to see how a friendly question handles errors. Actually, we've been doing that all along, but I'll play along. 9 is too large. Please try again. Oh. Try again using only digits. Okay. Thank you. At the other end of the scale are the unfriendly programs. They give unclear instructions and don't tell you how to correct your errors. Press return to see an unfriendly question. Here is an extreme example of a very unfriendly question. Input the number. Oh god. What do we do? 7's good. I hit an 8. 8's also good. No, you're wrong! Ghastly, isn't it? Interesting. I must have had a different version of this because I distinctly remember it said disgusting, isn't it? Perhaps ghastly was thought to be a little too extreme, and in a later revision of the software, they changed it to disgusting? I don't know. But I'm pretty sure I remember that accurately. Very sure, in fact. Of course, no program can be perfectly friendly, much less perfect, but good programs make an effort to cooperate with you in getting your job done. Remember when we capitalized your first name way back when? That was an example of this program making a sterling effort to help you. Don't go patting yourself on the back or anything. But what if a program seems bent on fighting you? The 4 steps. Check your typing. Everyone makes mistakes occasionally. See? 2. Lock the caps lock key down. Many programs require you to type everything in capital letters. 3. Check the program manual. The displayed instructions may be unclear. 4. Seek help from someone who knows how the program works. Number 4 keeps a lot of people in business. If things can change from one program to the next, how can you figure out what to do? Always read the program's manual and follow instructions displayed on the screen. Press Escape to proceed. What if I don't want to? Then it's just going to flash it at me. Okay. Good. You really were reading the instructions carefully. Well, not so much. I had to get a little help from the flashing key there. 11. The three cursors. More animation with sound, even. Variety is the spice of life, as the old saying goes. Different programs have different styles and rules. Some programs use a key other than return to mean proceed. Other programs use the arrow keys differently. Sometimes even the cursor may be different. So far, the only cursor you have seen is the blinking cursor. You've learned to use the left arrow key to back up and the right arrow key to move forward when you correct errors. In this section, we will explore two additional cursors. Each one follows a different set of rules for backing up, moving forward, and correcting errors. The first new cursor looks like this. You will find that it behaves quite differently when you back up. Press Return to experiment with the box cursor. Correct the answer below to read a three-toed mammal. By doing the following, press left arrow to erase the word fish. Type the new correct word, mammal. It actually took that? Okay. The third and most powerful cursor lets you use the del key to erase letters. The del key is at the upper right of your keyboard. Please press it now. Oh, where is that on the emulator? There we go. Good. You will find that the third cursor is very convenient as it lets you use del to delete words anywhere in your answer. Now press Return to experiment with a cursor that looks like a blinking underline. Correct the answer below to read a herd of cattle by doing the following. Press the left arrow key to back up to the right of the T in the word lot. Press the del key several times to erase the words whole lot. Oh. Wrong key again, the emulator's throwing me off. A buttload of cattle. Let's get rid of the extra space there. There we go. Oh, I deleted my space. Whoops. We will now leave the underline cursor and return to the familiar blinking square cursor. In practice, you didn't tend to encounter those other cursors super often in a lot of software, but for word processors, for one, I remember them cropping up a fair bit. Now for disks, a command performance. Also, we see that our question mark has changed to won't be long now. We've almost made it to the mysterious 13. This program started up automatically when you turned on the computer, but not all programs do this. Sometimes after turning on the computer, you will see something like this. All my programs are great. No instructions in sight. What do you do? First, before you do anything else, make sure the caps lock key at the bottom left of your keyboard is locked down. If you're not sure, click it a few times, leaving it in the lockdown position. Now you can type the command word catalog, which will usually display a list of the files, many containing programs, on the disk you are currently using. Dogalog. Syntax error. This message means that you typed something the computer doesn't understand. Check your typing and try again. Type catalog and press return. Oh, alright. This catalog is a sort of menu that tells you what program files and other sorts of files are on the disk. The first column of the catalog tells you if a file is being protected or not. Don't worry about this column for now. The next column tells you whether the file contains a program or some other kind of information such as text or graphics. Most program files have an A or an I in this column. This column tells you how much space the file takes. Don't worry about this column for now either. Last and most important, the rightmost column tells you the name of the file. You use this name when you want to choose from the catalog menu. Rather than using numbers to choose from the catalog, you type the word run followed by the name of the program you want. For example, to use the program type name, which asks you to type your first name, you would type run type name and press return. Which program would you like to run now? Alright, let's actually go a little outside the box here. In that second column, where we have the A's, the I's, the T, and the B, that's, like the program said, that specifies what kind of file it is. A is an AppleSoft BASIC program, I believe. I is an integer BASIC program, which I don't really remember what the significance of is. T is a text file, and B is a binary. So we would type in run to run one of the A-flagged programs, or, for thanks, we could type run thanks. Thanks to Jane Major of the British Consulate in San Francisco for her assistance. Little credit Easter egg there. This is another place in which I'm certain my version of Apple Presents Apple was a little different. Instead of thanks, there was a binary program there called Bargle, and if you brunned it, it would just say Bargle, Bargle, Bargle. Let's get back to the menu. Oh shit. I'm too spoiled by MS-DOS. And now for a quick sketch. This program allows you to sketch simple figures. The left, right, down, and up keys move the cursor around the screen. To select a different line color, press a letter from A to 0. You can see the instructions again by pressing Open Apple ? Oh. Gonna be a little vain here. And make a really wide N. A masterpiece, if I do say so myself. Now what happens if we do press Open Apple ? Oh, okay. So I could have done an invisible line by pressing the spacebar, just to move around without leaving a trail behind me. But I think we've done enough here. And we could select, I didn't mean it! Let me continue my drawing. Show me the instructions again, or please erase the screen so I can start over. We can also just say we're finished and go back to the main menu. I think I'll do that. And now, I want to quit for now. Congratulations, Un! You are hereby declared a veritable computer genius, prepared to begin working with the many powerful Apple IIe programs. Have fun and enjoy using your Apple. Press return to start this program over from the very beginning for the next person, or turn off the power and continue your explorations in your owner's manual. As a graduate, you may skip to the main menu of this program by pressing the ESC key during the credits. And a veritable computer genius is apparently one who knows 19.3 times as much about computers as one's colleagues. A very specific number. What if I press another key here? Nothing happens. Okay. And there we are, back to start. So that, my friends, is Apple Presents Apple. The very first piece of software I ran on my Apple IIe back in what I'm pretty sure was 1984. It's been fun revisiting it. It is a very friendly program, referring to what it said about friendly and unfriendly programs. Breaks everything down into nice little bite-sized chunks, and is very patient and polite with you if you screw up. It also recognizes a lot of the common errors you might make, which is really smart design, I think. I'm legitimately impressed by that. Like, it can tell if you've put something in lowercase when you shouldn't have, instead of just throwing a generic message for everything that could possibly go wrong. Very nice. And it was interesting to discover, for me anyway, that this is clearly a different version of Apple Presents Apple. I can't remember if the return key in the version that I had looked like the return key on my actual keyboard. It may have. But the Bargle program being there instead of thanks I was completely certain about, and the unfriendly program, the message ghastly, isn't it, was definitely disgusting, isn't it? Not terribly consequential, but interesting, to me at least, because I never knew that there were more than one revision of Apple Presents Apple. Anyway, if you have an interest in retro computing, or just decided to watch this for shits and giggles, I hope you found it entertaining. It really took me back. And for some of you, if you were maybe an Apple kid back in the day, it may be a familiar road to you as well. Whatever your motivation, I thank you very much for following along with me in this little visit to a noteworthy part of my childhood. Take care, everybody, and I will be back with a proper episode of I Played a Thing real soon. See you then.